Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Mike. Welcome to the show. And oh boy, first thing I want to do is show you the intro. Let's get right to it. All right, so yeah, let me see what we can do here. Okay, all right, so I want to introduce everybody who watches the show, who's watching the video, who's uh, been checking out my videos. I want to introduce you to the founder of the Hare Krishna movement. I'm going to show you a little clip of him in action. Of course, he passed away in 1977, so a long time ago. He passed away. I never met him because I was only 15 in 1977, and I was not a Hare Krishna. I didn't join the Hare Krishnas until around 92 is when I met a Hare Krishna guy, and I started hanging out, and within 6 months to a year, less than a year, within about 6 months, I was chanting and reading the books, and I was, what I thought I was doing my own research, but I was actually getting indoctrinated, and that's really what happens. Is like you go in with an open mind, and you think you're researching something on your own, or you're going to check it out. Let me check this out and see what's going on, and that's really what that's that's the first book. Um, I let my guard down, and I was like, "This isn't a cult. These guys are too nice." And let me read these. Let me check it out for myself. And then pretty soon I'm chanting, and then pretty soon 20 years goes by. So uh, anyway, so I wanted to show you the founder, uh, and how he preached, and how he the way he does it, and a lot of the gurus today imitate him. They imitate the way he moves his head, the way he talks, the way he speaks, all the terminology that he uses, all the phrase, because he was very unique in his way of speaking. So, uh, and I just wanted you to kind of get a glimpse of that, because there are a lot of these videos out there. There's you can search and you can find all these videos of him lecturing, of him talking, and all this stuff. And so I wanted to show you a little bit of him, and I'm going to comment on some of the things that he's saying. And then I'm going to show you some of the uh, racist and sexist statements that he's made that I've been talking about. So there's a girl on here. She grew up in the movement. Um, she doesn't sound like a Hare Krishna now. And she made some videos. She makes videos. And so she has one video where she put a lot of these statements together. And I'm going to show you that. And I'm going to comment on that. And that's a lot of fun. It's interesting and fun. And I'll get to that. So I'm kind of excited about today's show, because I want you to get to see this guy that I've been talking about. I've been talking about him. And the whole, he is God to the Hare Krishna movement. He is like, literally, he's like God. When you're in the Hare Krishnas, he's either your direct guru. These guys either met him and were initiated by him directly. I wasn't, because he died before I got involved. But he's the founder, so he's like the L. Ron Hubbard. He's he's the guy. He's the David Koresh. He's the Jim Jones. He's the Maharishi. He's everything. He's God. He's God. Um, and when they say uh, you can admire someone, and you really like someone, you love someone, you admire someone, or you worship this. I worship this person, and people say, oh, we worship the ground he walks on, or they worship him, or these people that go to see Taylor Swift, they worship her. You have no idea what worshiping really is, because in the Hare Krishna movement, when you have a guru, you literally worship this guy. And if you're not familiar with this this type of religion or this type of philosophy where you actually worship another human being. You actually worship another human being. You treat them. You're worshiping them like the word mean. What the word means, worship. You offer them things like money and, well, of course, money. That goes without saying. But there are ceremonies that go along with the worshiping, and there's ceremonies. There's songs that you sing. There's prayers you got to say. There's things that you got to perform. There's like 5 articles you got to offer to the guru or to the Lord, and there's all these certain ways you do it. Kind of like if you're a Catholic, then it would be kind of like Mass, going to church, going to Mass. There's a whole way that the priest does his whole thing with his book and his chalice, and he puts the thing on, then he takes it off, then he opens the book, and he closes the book, and there's a whole thing that he does. He just doesn't go up there and, so there's a whole thing that he does during Mass that makes it Mass. So Hare Krishna, when they worship the guru and they worship the Lord in the temple, there's an actual ceremony that's going on, and there's a lot of singing, a lot of instruments are playing, a lot of songs, a lot of chanting, a lot of mantras, whatever. And we do that for the founder, his statue, the statue of the founder. He's sitting there as a statue of him. He's sitting there, and we literally worship that statue as if it's him. We touch its feet. We dress it. We put flowers on it. We pray to it. We lay down in front of it like it's there's a whole thing going on. Incense. There's a way that you offer the incense to the deities. 3 times to the head, 3 times to the belly, 3 times to the feet, then 3 times to everybody, and then you turn. Then you do. There's a whole ceremony that goes on with this. So not only do we do it to the founder, but if you have your own guru who's alive and living in somewhere, wherever, he might be living in your temple, in your city, in your state. Who knows? But anyway, you worship him the same way. So if he's not there, you have a picture of him. They have a picture of this guy. This guy sitting there, and they're just ordinary guys. I mean, it's all emperor's new clothes. They're just guys, but it's like a spiritual pyramid scheme. So you got this picture of this guy on the wall, and you're worshiping it with flowers and a lamp and a candle and incense, water, whatever. You're doing this whole thing to this picture of this guy who went to high school, and was a flunky, but now he's a guru. He was whatever. So that they really worship this guy. He is like God. So there's a little bit of that going on in the video. I'm going to show you some of that, and I'm going to show you. So I'm going to show you the girl. She grew up in it. She made these videos. I'm going to show you all this really good stuff. So that's what today is. But of course, I want to start off by saying more power to Scientology protesters. Woo! Everybody out there. I'm not going to go through the list of names. Everybody knows who they are all over the world. But I will mention Tori, because she's like the OG. So it's great seeing Tori out there. And then anybody that's in court, more power to you. I hope you win your case. I hope everything goes great. F Scientology. Everybody out there live streaming. You guys are awesome. And of course, Audit LA. She is just like she's like Columbo or something. She's like Jim Rockford. She's out there and she's like getting shit done, man. I really admire that. It's a lot of work, and for her, for everybody. So great work. More power to all the Scientology protesters. I can't say enough. Can't say enough about that. Okay, so now now hold on to your hats, because I'm gonna show you some this Hare Krishna guy and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about as far as him preaching and his whole thing. And so you can kind of get an idea, so that when I'm talking about him, and when I'm talking about him and I'm talking about everything, you got an idea in your head who he is, what he looks like, what he was about, and what he was doing. So let me see. Okay, here we go. All right, let me see. Here we go.
This is a conversation between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. Maharaj Parikshit, 5,000 years ago, he was the emperor of the whole world. Formerly, up to 5,000 years ago, the whole world was being controlled and ruled over by kings whose capital was Hastinapur, New Delhi. There was only one flag, only one ruler, one scripture, Vedic scripture, and the Aryans, the Arya, they were the civilized persons.
Okay, I'm going to stop right here.
You,
Stop right here. So,
Europeans, Americans,
hold on a second. I'm sorry. Let me. Okay. So first, I want to just comment, because I haven't seen this since I left the Hare Krishnas, and so I haven't seen this. Now, this is the same video that I subtitled when I worked for the Hare Krishnas. I don't know why it's not subtitled. That's still a mystery to me. I'm led to believe. I'm thinking in my mind that this guy sold the rights to all these videos and everything, all the master tapes and everything. He sold them and got out of the business and retired. And whoever bought the rights and has them now, it released the original video without the subtitling. Now, the subtitling was great, because not only did I do it, but the subtitling was really good, because it helped you read along and understand what he's saying. And I don't know why they took it off. We spent years subtitling these videos, and I just don't know why it's not. But anyway, what he's talking about is he's talking about. So here we go. Like I had mentioned in another video, that the claim that these the claim that these books and these scriptures and everything about Hare Krishna is 5,000 years old. Now, because according to the scriptures, the timeline would be 5,000 years ago was the end of this age and the beginning of a new age, and that's when Krishna left. And then somehow he figures out the timeline from when, and he says that he said that these Vedic scriptures existed 5,000 years ago. Well, they didn't exist 5,000 years ago. There's no evidence for that. First of all, writing didn't exist 5,000 years ago. This language that they're written in there's no archaeological evidence. There's nothing for us to accept this claim that these Vedic scriptures are 5,000 years old. 3,000 tops, 3,005 tops. Not 5. I mean, I have not found anywhere anyone in any field of history, Sanskrit knowledge, anything that I could just research myself. I'm not an expert in this, so I'm not Sherlock Holmes or anything. But just from what I've looked online about what I could research for myself online today, in today's world, in 2020, 24, 20, 22, 23, 24. If you search Vedic scriptures and you search out the history, you're not going to find anyone anywhere that says it's 5,000 years old. They all, every school, every university school, Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale, whatever, whoever it is, who has archaeological, credentials or spiritual whatever, will say they agree. Well, they don't all agree, but they will, agree to a time frame of 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, for the Vedas, the Vedic scriptures that he's referring to, the Vedas, the Rig Veda, the Samar Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Yathartha Veda, those 4 Vedas, yes, well, not all 4. The oldest one could be 3,000 years old or 3,500 years old. That puts it within the time frame of it existed within the time frame of writing. That fits, but any farther back, 5,000 years ago, it doesn't fit. So, okay, first of all, so that's the first thing, is he wants to say 5,000 years ago these Vedic script, there was only one. He says there was only one scripture, Vedic scripture, 5,000 years ago. Well, that's not 100% true. That's not even 50% true. It's I don't even think it's 25% true. But we can say that the Vedic scriptures are the oldest scriptures that they have a record of. So, okay, so that's the first thing. Then the next thing he's saying is that the whole world was ruled by one king, this Parikit guy, okay, or his father, and that there was only one flag, one ruler, one king, and the capital was in Hastinapur, which is New Delhi. Okay, that's not. There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of that. 5,000 years ago, there was barely even any settlements in the world. I mean, if he's saying the whole world, and he means India, but that's not what he's saying, and that's not what he's trying to say. He's saying the whole world. He's saying the whole world at that time, because he's saying that at that time they were aware of the Greeks, they were aware of the Romans, they were aware of these other people, and what he's saying is that when Maharaj whoever, I forget now what he said, but that leader, that emperor, that leader, that one king guy, when he died, and he split the world up into his sons, and he gave half the world the European party. So they gave the European people, Greek and Roman, he gave to the one son, and the rest of the world, or the other half of the world, or third of the world, he gave to the other son. So he's not just talking about India at the time. He's talking about the whole world. He's saying the whole world was under, 5,000 years ago, but the whole world was under this one guy, this one flag, and the capital was in New Delhi, Hastinapur. But that's no one accepts that anywhere, except people that believe these stories in these books that he's talking about. I mean, the Mahabharata or the Ramayana. Now you can, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for believing that, but that's like their history, that's their culture. But what this guy's doing is he's trying to say that is fact, and it's like saying, Moses brought these tablets down. and that's fact. Well, is it really a fact? If the only evidence for Moses bringing these tablets down is a story in this book, this one story in one book that was written, 2,000 years ago, or 2,000 whatever years ago, is that real? Does that make it a fact? And that's what people have been. That's what people debate, for forever. Is the Bible fact? And I don't know. I can't say that. Me personally, I don't think it's fact. I don't think that anything in there. I mean, except for the historical people that are mentioned and the historical places that are mentioned. But we have stories where we mention real people and real places all the time. That's not that doesn't make the story real just because it took place in Chicago when Theodore Roosevelt was president. Or the Sting. The movie The Sting is not real just because it took place in Chicago. Chicago is real, and whatever, whoever was the mayor of Chicago or whatever was real, but that doesn't mean that story was real. It's a made up story with real people in it, and I don't know why people can't understand that. I mean, I can't understand it. They want to believe the story. They want to believe that it was really happened. That these people were real, and people believe that there are people on TV are real. They believe that Kramer and Seinfeld were real, that the Friends were real, or that the doctor on Saint Elsewhere, or the people on Law and Order, that people think they're real. Not everybody thinks they're real, but there are people that think they're real. They just, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so these are stories, and nobody believes that unless it's your culture and you want to believe it. And a lot of people, they go, well, it's a story, it's a legend, it's a myth, it's just part of our history, but we don't believe it. They don't believe it was fact. They believe it's a story that represents a history. It represents an idea, or it symbolizes something, and the story represents something to them about their culture and their history and their people and whatever. It doesn't mean you have to believe it like literally that he parted the Red Sea. You don't have to believe that he parted the Red Sea to believe. You don't have to believe that. You don't have to believe that he actually had these tablets and commandments, and the bush talked to him. You don't have to actually believe that to believe that there's something in the story that makes sense. Like the guy was talking the other day. He was like, "Well, I believe the story, and then I take something good out of it, and I apply it to my life." Yes, that's what religion is. You have these stories, like even Little Red Riding Hood. You can hear Little Red Riding and go, "Well, I'm learning something from there. Like, maybe I shouldn't take for granted, or I should, always be prepared, or there's a moral to the story. There's something I can learn from that story. I don't have to believe that the wolf ate the grandma in order for me to understand the meaning of the story, or I don't have to believe, that Rapunzel had this long hair and she put it out the window, and then the guy climbed up the. I don't have to believe that story to understand the meaning of it, and that maybe I should be good, or women with long hair, come in handy. I don't know, whatever it is, whatever that story means. But I don't have to believe that it really happened, even if it says that it took place in London or in Worcestershire or whatever. I don't have to. It doesn't mean I have to believe that it's real. That it really happened. But in the Hare Krishna movement, it's all based on reality. It's all based on these stories are real. That's what makes Hare Krishna different than just a religion. It's what makes it different than just what makes it a cult. It's what makes it a cult. But that's what makes, and he stresses this, in his teachings and in his lectures and in his books is that these stories are real. Krishna is real. These stories are real. It really happened. Krishna is really a little blue boy, plays a flute, lives in the spiritual world. Ganesh has an elephant head. Real is not just a story. He makes that clear all the time on almost every page. That's what makes Hare Krishna, and not Hinduism. This is what makes that's what makes it a cult. It makes him a cult leader. Is that he wants ultimate devotion to him and what he says. And if he says this is real, then it's real. And if he says that the dinosaur in the museum is fake, it's fake. And if he says that the statue is real and it's really looking at you and it can hear everything you're saying, then the statue is real and it can hear you and it can see you and it knows everything. He makes it clear, crystal clear. So he started off right here, starting right off the bat, saying, excuse me, starting off right off the bat to say, hey, there is this history. This is the history of the world, and I'm telling it like it is, and this history is nowhere else except in my books, and no one understands it the way I understand it, and I can explain it to you. Only I can explain this history. This is world history according to Hare Krishna, and explained by the founder, and it's as real. All this stuff is real. Okay, let's get back here a little bit more about what this is real. Okay, let's get back.
You are also Aryans, Indo-European stock, Maharaj Jajasi, grandson of Maharaj Parikshit. He gave to his two sons the portion of Eastern Europe, Greek and Roman. That is the history. Mahabharata. Mahabharata means great India. So, there was no different religion, one religion, Vedic religion. Vedic religion means to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Supreme Personal Absolute Truth. This is Vedic religion. Those who have read Bhagavad Gita, it is said there in the 15th chapter, Vedaishta sarvai ahamiva vedyam. Vedic knowledge means to understand God. This is Vedic.
Okay, I'm going to stop right here for a second.
Later,
because I want to make something clear that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't. So Prabhupada says Prabhupada says that he never read the Vedas. So when he sits here and he's talking about Vedic knowledge and Vedic this and Vedic that, he didn't read the Vedas. He read books about the Vedas that talked about the Vedas, and he read those books and translated. He used those books, what other people wrote about the Vedas. He used those books when translating. He didn't translate the Vedas, okay? He translated other literature, all right? He translated the Bhagavad Gita, turned it into a cult book, and he translated Srimad Bhagavatam and some other cult books written in the 16th century, 17th century. He claims to be a Vedic scholar and a Vedic this and a Vedic that, but the truth is he's not. He's a cult leader who read cult literature and then wrote his own books using books. He used books that were written about the Vedas, explanations about the Vedas, different historical books, like that a lot of people use, You know, it helped him. It helped him write his books. It helped him with his translations. It helped him explain what he was writing about. It helped him create his cult, and it also boosted him, made him seem like he was some Vedic scholar, like he had more knowledge than he really had. He was really like these gurus that I'm talking about. He was like one of them. He just learned from his guru what his guru wanted him to learn, and then he just created his own cult based on what his guru knew and authorized and said that he could do, because it's like this cult. It's like in India it's different than a cult, but it's still like a cult, because it's not mainstream at all. It's just not mainstream. It's not mainstream in India. It was never mainstream in India. The Hare Krishna, the Hare Krishna and the chanting of Hare Krishna and the worship of Krishna and Vishnu was never like a big thing in India. They worship other gods in India. They've always worshipped Indra, Ganesh, Shiva, Chandra, Vishnu, but Krishna playing the flute, that's not mainstream. That's not a mainstream Hindu. It's a very small sect. So when he's talking about Vedic scriptures and Vedic culture and 5,000 years ago, he's trying to give you the impression that everything that he's talking about, everything that he's teaching, everything that it's in his books was from 5,000 years ago, and that this is the way it was, and that there were Hare Krishnas around 5,000 years ago, chanting Hare Krishna and playing the thing and playing the drums and chanting Hare Krishna and doing Hare. No, that's not. And I know some people out there, there's Hare Krishnas out there that are going to say, well, Mike doesn't know what he's talking about, or this guy or that. I don't give a fuck what they talk. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they say, because they're indoctrinated into the cult. They're not thinking like a normal person. They're thinking like a cult member. So they're like, oh, Mike this, Mike that. I don't care. He was not a Vedic scholar. Now he knew stuff. I'm not gonna say he didn't know stuff. He knew a lot more stuff. He's just like a priest or a cardinal or a bishop, right? They know stuff about the Bible. Like, you can go and ask them stuff about the Bible. Father, I'm having temptations. I don't know. I'm thinking about killing myself or something. And the priest will go, oh yeah, and he'll tell you what verse, what book. Oh, the book of Job. He says this in the letters to the Ephesians. He says, Paul says this. In whatever, and he can start telling you stuff like what story, what book, what verse, what chapter, and this, because he studied and he's learned that stuff. Good for him. That's good, because if somebody wants to know, you go to the priest. You go, hey, where can I find out about stuff? I want to know about where it says in the Bible about whatever. Cheating on my wife, or I stole some stuff from work and I feel bad. Whatever it is, the priest, he's learned, he's studied, he learns, he knows stuff. He can tell you, he can help you out, but it doesn't give him any magical mystical knowledge. He doesn't have any magical mystical knowledge that you couldn't learn. You could learn it by reading, but you're going to go straight to the priest and go, hey, can you just tell me where the verse is that I need that can help me with this problem? And he's going to be like, well, I don't know. I like this verse. I like this verse. This verse is always good. This one calms me down. Check out Psalm this, Psalm that, whatever. And that's kind of his job. But this is the guru here is like on another level. So he's learned some stuff. Same thing. He can go. You ask him. Where does Krishna say? What chapter is it where Krishna says everything emanates from me? What chapter is it where he says, Arjuna, pick up your bow and go fight? What is this nonsense about you don't want to fight? Pick up your bow and go fight. What chapter, what verse is that? And he could tell me. He could say, oh yeah, that's that's chapter 10, verse 5. And then he could repeat it from memory. And then he could explain it to me if I wanted, and he could give an example, like yeah, that reminds me of the story about the dog and the turtle, or whatever. That's what he could do. But this goes beyond. This is a cult. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond just being a priest or a cardinal or a bishop or a father or whatever. It goes way beyond that. This goes on. This goes into like, you gotta worship me like I'm a god. You gotta wash my socks, wash my underwear, you gotta cook my food. You gotta give me all your money, and if I need a plane ticket to India, you gotta help me out with that too. And then if I do anything bad, you gotta excuse that. You gotta excuse anything bad that I do because I'm the guru. So this is it's insanity. Sometimes it gets into this cult personality thing where this guy has got so much charisma, so much personality, so much storytelling technique and knowledge about this and that he's got people mesmerized.
With the progress of Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga means the dark age or the sinful age or the age for argument, unnecessary talks and fight. This is called Kali Yuga. That is going on. Since the last 5,000 years, the Kali Yuga has begun, and the beginning of Kali Yuga was cow slaughtering. When Maharaj Parikshit...
Okay. I don't know, something happened with the video there. So here we go again with the 5,000 years ago. So he's back to the 5,000 years ago. He's saying that 5,000 years ago, this age began, this Kali Yuga age, this age of Kali. Kali is or Kalki. Kalki is the avatar that will come in this age, and he's just going to kill everybody and just massacre everybody when he comes. He's the avatar for the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the last stage before the cycle starts over again. And this Kali Yuga age that he's talking about began 5,000 years ago when Krishna died and left and went back to the spiritual world. That was the beginning of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga began. And it began when cow slaughter, because once Krishna left, then like all the demons were like, oh yeah, we can kill the cows now. And they started killing cows. And that's what he's talking about. Kali Yuga began with cow slaughter. And then he's saying, and then Kali Yuga is advancing and things are just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse every day, constantly. Things are going to get worse until finally 4,300,000 years, or no, 430,000 years or so until the end of Kali Yuga, and we're only 5,000 in. So we got another. This is like scare tactic. So we're 5,000 years in on a 430,000 year cycle where everything gets bad. So if you think things are bad now, things are going to get worse as they go on. And if you don't go back to the spiritual world at the end of this lifetime, you are going to have to take birth again, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So why would you want to come back to this world? Like, it's already bad. Like, you're already suffering now. It's only going to get worse, as you can see. Like, times are getting worse. Well, I don't know if, he says that, but when you look at the world and you go, well, gee, times were tough, in the Middle Ages. And then, times were tough in the 1800s. But in the 1800s, they weren't as bad as in the Middle Ages, And then, and then in the 20th century, we had a lot of, advancements in like medicine and technology and just a lot of things that made our lives better. Indoor plumbing, electricity, so many things we take for granted now that make our lives better, even like the internet and all of these things, electricity and just, technology and mental ingenuity, people thinking and creating things to make our lives better. Our lives are so much better just now with all the advancements in technology and comforts and things that make our lives make our lives better than they were like 100 years ago. I mean, 100 years ago, you didn't have the kind of transportation that we have now. You didn't have you had a lot of harder work than we have now. We didn't have the machinery to do a lot of work that we had to do now. Paving a street was a lot of hard work. Right now, paving a street, it's not. It's a fraction of what it took to pave a street 110 years ago, or lay down tracks, streetcar tracks, or just building something is so much easier because the tools that we use are so much easier, right? You're not drilling stuff by hand. They're not cutting sheet metal by hand. In a million ways, life is better now than it was 100 years ago. We have better eyes, better glasses. We have contact lenses. I mean, we have hearing aids. We have artificial limbs that we didn't have. I mean, we're not walking around like pirates with a wooden leg and a hook on our hand. We actually have hands now. I mean, there's so many ways that life is getting better, and it's getting better and better. Not everything, obviously, not perfectly better, but that's life. I mean, that's life. That's the way it is. I mean, but things are getting better. I mean, this technology is better. Like, if you just watch a YouTube video from 20 years ago, it looks like crap. Or a VHS recording of a TV show that you go, wow, this was recorded in the 80s and it looks so shitty. It looks so crappy. Didn't we have good technology in the 80s? I mean, we had MTV, we had videotape. I mean, why does the stuff from the 80s some of the stuff from the 80s look so crappy? Right? We didn't have the digital technology. Everything was a lot of stuff was analog back then. You think, wow, that wasn't that long ago. So things are just constantly getting better and better. And of course, not everything. We still have crime. We still have a lot of stuff, but things getting better. I mean, but the cults, they want you to think everything's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse. It's getting worse to where you're not going to be able to walk down the street. They've been saying that forever. You're going to be able to walk down the street. There were some places in LA where it was worse when I was a little kid and when I was a teenager. Like, let's say like Culver City, for instance, where I grew up. There was a section of Culver City when I was a little kid that was really sketchy. I mean, it was a really sketchy area, and we'd go to the movies and during the day, like on a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday afternoon. But if it was dark and we had to walk home, because we could walk home during the day, it was no problem. But if we had to walk home, there was a couple of areas that were kind of sketchy. I mean, and then on the other side of our house, there was another couple of blocks that at night that was a sketchy area of town right there. That was like, and now today in 2024, that area is nice. I mean, they call it what you want, call it gentrification, call it urban renewal, call it redevelopment, call it, I don't know what you can call it, but a lot of those liquor stores and places that were like that was that sketchy part of town, they're not there anymore. They're like upscale coffee shops and little art galleries and whatever. And in the other area where that was really sketchy, like that whole thing got torn down and they put up like a whole little, I don't know, like a little civic center type area. It's kind of nice. You can go. It's like so. And there was another area that was pretty. There was a lot of areas. There were a lot of areas that were sketchy over there when I was a kid. There was another area over there that was like, it was just like this little vacant lot area, and that was really sketchy. That's where like hobos lived. We didn't call them homeless when I was a kid, but they were hobos, and they lived in this dilapidated building, and they slept in this vacant lot area. And now that whole thing's been redeveloped. It's like a little park. It's cool. It's safe. You can go and hang out. The whole area it's dramatically different than it was 45 years ago. even 45 years, even 40 years ago. It's dramatically changed from 40 years ago. So it's gotten better, and that's just one example. Now, and there's a lot of places around LA. They talk about how LA is going bad and everything bad, and there are areas where it's getting bad, but there's a lot of areas that have gotten better. And I'm not big on gentrification, like kicking all the poor people out and making it nice and bringing rich people in. I'm not I'm not about that. But what I am saying is, like, you got an area that's sketchy, it's deserted, it's sketchy, it's like, and you make it safe, and there's businesses that are doing business and whatever, and it looks nice. It's not a blight on the neighborhood. I mean, that's an improvement. So things can get better. It's not all doom and gloom, and these cults want you to think there is doom and gloom. That's one of the ways they keep you in there. They're like, the outside world it's like doom and gloom. It's doom and gloom, and everybody's a drug addict, a sex fiend, and gambling and alcoholism and junkies and hookers, and everything is out there. And if you go out there, if you go back out there, you're going to become one of those. You're going to fall right back into, and that's one of the things that would always get me about Hare Krishnas. And I gotta, it's just a funny thing about Hare Krishnas is I've met so many, and I had so many Hare Krishna friends. I mean, and I could almost name them. I could almost name them all. Janardana and Jainarayan and Bir Lakshman and Radhakunda and Mahatma and Lokamangala and oh man, and what was that? Govinda. So anyway, so many, so many of these guys, and then there's all these ones that I just talked to, just that I can't remember their names, but they all. Every one of them, you got to hear this. Every one of them talk like they are just the most wretched, horrible person ever, and they got saved by Hare Krishna. And if it wasn't for this guy, this Prabhupada guy, if it wasn't for him, they would just be such a wretched. They'd be a junkie, male prostitute, criminal, just gamble, just everything. They would be the worst person in the world if it wasn't for their guru that he saved me, man. Boy, did he save me, because man, I was doing everything bad. When I met him, I was living in New York, and I was shooting smack every day, and I was smoking crack, and I had girls everywhere. And I was a bookie. I was taking bets, and it was like every possible horrible thing all the time. And I was killing people, and I was raping women, and I was I was robbing banks and everything. And then I met him, and I just stopped doing it all. I stopped it. And if it wasn't for him, I'd either be dead or I'd be in jail, man. I'd be dead or in jail, man, because I was just like. I was out of control, man. I was out of control. And he saved me, man. He saved me. That's what they all say. And I used to say something like that. I used to say, yeah, I was doing a lot of coke, and I was doing a lot of meth, crystal meth, and I was doing coke, I used to say if I wasn't a Hare Krishna, I would probably just be doing a lot of math and this and that, and then and I'd be doing this and that, and totally exaggerating, because I wasn't that kind of guy. I wasn't that kind of. I mean, I like party. I do some cocaine every now and then, or every now and then when I had it. No, I do cocaine. I smoke pot. I was not a big drinker. But I'd have a drink now and then if I was at a party or something. But I wasn't like a drunk. I wasn't like a cokehead. I was a pothead. But I wasn't like like experimenting with every possible drug there is. Oh, what do you got? What's that? Or or out, banging chicks and going down Sunset Strip and picking up hookers and going to parties and having orgies. I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't going on like the weekend binges to Vegas and gambling my life safe. I mean, these guys, they make it sound like, oh my God, that they were like laying in the gutter. And if it wasn't for this guy, oh, geez, they would just be like the most horrible person that's ever walked the face of the earth, That's and I'm not exaggerating. I am not exaggerating. They all have a story like that. They all talk like that. They all think like that. They think that. Okay, so now I gave you a little clip of him talking, so you could see. And I might come back to him later, but he doesn't need that much. He doesn't need screen time. He doesn't need screen time like that. I'm not giving him screen time like that. He doesn't deserve it. He was a horrible person, and I'm gonna show you this video of what this girl did. So this girl, her parents were Hare Krishnas, and I guess she was born in India. I don't know if she was born in India or they moved to India when she was real little. She has a video where she talks about it, and you can definitely Google it or whatever and find out. But she grew up in it, and she has her story to tell. I don't know what that story is. I don't know what that story is, but I'll find out because I want to know. Because I didn't grow up in it. So I don't know that experience. I don't know what it's like to be a little kid in the Hare Krishnas and be abused and dodging abuse and seeing your friends be abused and then the gurus, and you're seeing these gurus that are abusers, and I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that trauma is like. I went through my own trauma, but the trauma that these kids went through, that's like a whole nother level. That's a whole nother trip, and I don't know. It breaks my heart, and it affects me in serious ways. I have a daughter, and I truly want to know more about each one of these kids and what they went through and how they're healing and whatever I can to help. I don't know what I can do to help, but this girl's pretty strong. She realizes that it was a cult. She realizes that this guy is not guru. She realizes this guy is not, and I don't know how that affects her relationship with her parents. I don't know. But like I said, she's got videos where she talks about that. But this is not one of those videos. This is a video that she did where she is basically just talking about the founder and the racist, sexist, homophobic things that he says. And so what she's doing in this little video clip, which is kind of clever, is she's playing both parts. She's playing the Hare Krishna girl, a girl who's a Hare Krishna and who has him as her guru, and then she's playing the non-Hare Krishna girl who is asking her about the sexist and racist and all these things, asking her about it. And then she's playing the part of what they say. So you can see how she's playing the part of a devotee, Hare Krishna devotee. She's playing the part of a non-Hare Krishna devotee. So it's really interesting to see, and she nails it. She nails it because she lived it. So this is why I want to show it to you, because it's a perfect representation of what they do and what they say. And here we go.
Everything Prabhupada said was transcendental nectar. Haribol. Really? Really. He was a pure devotee.
One should be truthful. Truthful means that he should be so much truthful that even his enemy asks him, "Where is your money?" He'll say, "Here is my money." He'll not hide anything. That is truthfulness.
Okay, how about this one?
You swear on the Bible in the court. And I was reading in the paper the other day that now in England they have passed a law whereby a man cannot be convicted of rape if he honestly believes that the woman consented to be raped. They said that the man cannot be convicted of rape if he honestly believes that the woman consented to his raping her.
Yeah, that is all right. Rape means without consent, sex. Otherwise, there is no rape. There was a rape case in Calcutta, and the lawyer is very intelligent. He, somehow or other, made the woman admit, "Yes, I felt such a thing." So he was released. Here is consent. And that's a fact. Because after all sex, rape or no rape, they'll feel some pleasure. So the lawyer, by hook and crook, made the woman agree, "Yes, I felt some pleasure." Now there is consent. So he was released. After all, it is an itching sensation. So either by force or by willing, if there is itching, everyone feels sensation, good sensation. There's a psychology. It is not that the women do not like rape. They like sometimes. They willingly. That is the psychology.
He was joking. He was only joking when he said that. He wasn't being serious. Come on. Well, if he was only joking, then how come he said it so many times? How come he insisted in interviews and in his purports and over again?
Outwardly, they show some displeasure, but inwardly they do not. This is psychology.
So what this law means is that anybody can rape anybody.
No law, it is all lusty desire. It is all law and no law, these are all nonsense.
Laughing matter.
The Shastra has it is lusty desire, that's all. Everyone wants to fulfill a lusty desire.
Just see. Was that a joke? A running joke? And if it was, did he not consider the possibility that maybe some of his disciples wouldn't understand it was a joke? How come he didn't clarify he was only joking? What about the fact that many of his disciples did take him seriously and went ahead and used to beat their wives and mistreat them? You've taken it out of context. You've taken it out of context. Ooh, wait a minute. You say that this quote was taken out of context. What about the previous quote? Was that taken out of context? Or what about this next quote?
Krishna's, these fighting lila, pastimes, and the Ras lila, pastime, they are all the same. Because Krishna is the center.
Yes.
Krishna being center, whatever in connection with Krishna is there, that becomes also Krishna. This is the idea.
Oh, so beautiful. Was that taken out of context? No, this one's fine. Yeah, this one's good. Yeah.
The symptoms of Rajagun and Tamagun are lust and greediness. Like yesterday, he told the students are talking about homosexuals. That means Tamagun. In education, students, they are discussing about homosexuals. That means Tamagun.
Yeah, but he wasn't homophobic.
Lusty.
He had Allen
Very
Ginsberg,
prominent.
and he was totally cool
And
with
how
gay
to
people.
fulfill by homosex or sex with woman.
No, this is made up. This is made up. He never said that. This is obviously invented. Some, like, ex-devotee just decided that he was going to make up these audios
So everyone
using
in this
Prabhupada's
particular
voice.
world infected
in the
with
very same lectures and morning walks and conversations in which all the other stuff is. Yeah. Really? So he never said this?
And especially in here, but it will be dangerous because it's black. If they don't get employment, they will create havoc. These blacks.
Yes.
They are not civilized.
No.
They want money, and if they don't get money, then they will create havoc.
Money and liquor.
Yeah. If they do get money, they just buy it.
Money they get, and they can live, but there is no culture. They want liquor. So these rascals
He
do not
wasn't
know
racist.
how we are
No, this is
making
nonsense.
human
He never said that.
civilization.
This is fake. Somebody faked these audios. Actually, these audio clips were taken straight from his morning walks and conversations and lectures. You can listen to them for yourself if you want.
Buddha is to be controlled. They have never been to freedom. It's like in America. The blacks are slaves, they are under control. And since we have given them an equal rights, they are disciplining most systems. Always creating a fear in people, uncultured, and then drunkard. What training they have got? They have got equal rights. They are best to keep them under control as slaves.
No, he never
But
said
give
that.
them sufficient food, sufficient
No.
clothes. Not more than that.
No.
Then they will come.
Yep.
Okay, so what happened to me? Okay, there I am. Okay. So ever since I started making these videos, I've been talking about the racist and sexist and homophobic and other nasty statements that he's made and that are throughout his books. They're throughout his books and his conversations and lectures and morning walk talks and audio, everything. Because that's how he felt. That's what he thought. That's how he felt. So while he didn't put it like right, he didn't title his books, I hate blacks or I hate Jews. That wasn't the title of his books. But if you read his books, you will find stuff in there. And then when you listen to his conversations and read his letters and his conversations, which is a lot. There's a lot to go through. You will find this stuff. You will find these statements in his private conversations. They're not private conversations because they were recorded so everyone could hear them. So they're not taken out of context. They weren't. He wasn't ambushed. He wasn't like a gotcha moment or hidden mic. He knew exactly what he was saying. He knew he was being recorded, and he wanted everyone to hear it. And not only that, but here you got all his disciples around him, right? He's got a group of people around. He's got a bunch of young. He called them young boys, but they're like anywhere from 18 to 30, and and I don't even know if the oldest one was 30, but let's just say anywhere from 18 to 30 years old. These guys, and they're a mixture of guys. They're a mixture of old hippies, old beatniks, new hippies, young kids that aren't even hippies or anything yet, and they're not all hippies, but there's some hippies mixed in. But they're all young people, right? They're all like I said, between 18 and 30, and he's probably got about 8 or 9 people around him all the time, 8 or 9 that he's talking to, and not one of them said anything. Not one of them said. What do you mean blacks should have been slaves? No, they all went along right along with them. Oh, black people just want money. Black people just want liquor. Yeah, they just caused a problem. Because they wanted to make him happy. They wanted to please him. So they were willing to just go right along with his racism. Yeah, no problem. Oh, he said black people are drunkards? Yeah, they went right along with him. And I don't believe that they were all like that when they joined. I don't believe that all these people around him were racist. No, he was like, he had control over them. He could say that person's bad, and then all of them were like, yeah, they're bad. Black people are bad, and they're all like, yeah, black people are bad. Women are dumb. Oh yeah, black women are dumb. Dumb women are dumb. Women like to be raped. Oh, women like to be raped. Yep. Women like to be raped. Yep. Not one of them spoke up. Not one of them said, what do you mean women like to be raped? Not one of them. They went right along with them. They went right along with him. And no one played dumb and said, well, can you explain to me how women like to be? Because they knew. They knew you don't do that in the cult. They knew that. I knew by the time I found out about some stuff, I already knew the answer, because they preemptively, like when you start to advance and you start to hang around a long time, they start to throw this stuff out at you to see how you're going to react, kind of. Like they because they know you're gonna find it, because you're in. So they might even bring it up and discuss it with you, or you find it and they kind of break it to you easy, and then, well, Prabhupada was not racist. Prabhupada wasn't racist. This is coming from Krishna. This is in Bhagavad Gita. This is in the Vedas, man. This is Vedic. This is 5,000-year-old Vedic scripture. Prabhupada is not racist. Prabhupada loves everyone. Prabhupada doesn't hate Jews. Prabhupada doesn't hate women. That's where they're going. That's where they're going with this. That's where they're going with this. Okay, listen. I'm going to end it right here. I want to thank you guys all for watching, for joining in. Listen, spread the word. Now, you've seen it yourself. You've heard him talk. You've seen him. You heard him talk. You heard him say some horrible things. There's a lot more stuff that he says. In fact, I'll play the rest of this video on another show. There's so much more stuff of his, things that he says, things that he just. So I'm gonna end it here. Thanks everybody for watching. Spread the word. Hare Krishna is a dangerous cult. They have some extremist views. They're not different than the Taliban. They're just like the Taliban. I mean, come on. So hey everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something about the Hare Krishnas. I hope you learned something that you can use to help keep people out of cults. Like, share, and subscribe if you feel so inclined, to help get the word out. That so my videos will go up, and people that are looking for information about Hare Krishna, maybe they'll see my video up there and they'll click on it, and maybe I can help them. They can learn something. They can find out something they didn't know, and keep them from joining. So help me out in that way. I'm trying to do what I can to fight cults. I'm supporting Scientology. I'm fighting. I'm exposing Hare Krishna. So thanks everybody. Thanks for supporting me and my videos. Have some great luck, great night, a great day, and have a great luck. And thanks again, everybody. Bye bye.